Video games. There's nothing like kicking back and enjoying a well-told story, immersive world, and exciting gameplay. But did you know there's a whole population of people out there who have never played a single video game? Fortunately, many charitable movie producers have taken it upon themselves to share the wonder of video games with the whole world by adapting the best games into movies that delight the young and old alike. It definitely has nothing to do with money. Or making money. Lots of money. Unfortunately, despite their good intentions, there are very, very few good movie adaptations. There are far more mediocre ones and many, many, many more bad ones. Today, Scarlett Media presents the top 10 times that movies ruined great games. Don't forget to set your crosshairs on the subscribe button and make sure you power up by tapping the like button. Spoilers ahead. Number 10. Assassin's Creed. The first Assassin's Creed, released in 2007, was a unique blend of stealth, action, and a story that produced a mythos so vast and in-depth that it has supported 23 games and a complete series of novels. It blends the narrative of a modern-day covert thriller with a heart-pounding story set in a variety of historically accurate locations, from ancient Egypt to the American Revolution. Sadly, the team behind the 2016 film version of Assassin's Creed managed to take the most interesting parts of the game series and turn them into a generic, convoluted action flick with a few parkour sequences that only Michael Scott could love. It's as if the filmmakers said, hey, you know all those awesome elements from the games that people love so much? Well, what if we just watch some people jump around for a while instead? If you manage to watch the whole thing, the only thing you'll wish had been assassinated is the person who sold you this movie. Number 9. Doom. Few games have been as massively influential as the original Doom. Not only did this 1993 release help to establish an entire genre, it kicked off a beloved franchise that has entertained gamers for decades. Featuring nearly non-stop bloody action, most of the game's storyline revolves around portals to hell and an unstoppable super soldier that slays entire armies of demons with pure firepower. Adapting this chaotic action series into a movie seems like a no-brainer, especially when you cast The Rock into the lead role. The 2005 film version of Doom is a no-brainer, but not in a good way. The film trades those hordes of fire-breathing demons for a few generic zombies, the fast-paced action for sneaking through poorly lit hallways, and the quippy one-liners for being boring dialogue between cardboard characters. About the only real connection with the games comes in the form of an extended scene shot in first-person view, though it's hard to tell if this was meant to be funny or if that was just an accident. Either way, one thing's for sure, this movie was doomed from the start. Get it? Yeah, I'll see myself out. Number 8. Max Payne. The Max Payne games were a masterclass in noir storytelling, and the bullet time mechanic was a true innovation for its time. As the titular Max Payne, you take on the role of a detective tormented by the demons of his past, while looking to avenge the death of his family. It's a dark and emotional story with some excellent gameplay. The film version does share some similarities with the games. For example, the main character's name is Max Payne. And that's about it. For the movie, the phenomenally choreographed action from the game is chopped up into scenes that seem like they're about to get interesting, only to be cut short by extensive dialogue. But the worst offense comes in the form of the main character, who was changed from a poetic vigilante into an angsty, one-dimensional character with the personality of a pile of sawdust. Number 7. Hitman Agent 47. In the Hitman games, you play as a genetically enhanced, cloned killing machine created for a singular purpose: to infiltrate high-profile events and locations and eliminate the target by whatever means necessary. To win, players must perfect skills of stealth, cunning, and focused patience in order to complete the hit. The movie version takes these elements and combines them in a way that perfectly captures the exact opposite. The first Hitman movie set the bar pretty low, but the sequel lowers it even further, with a script that lacks the slick charm of the games and misses their appeal entirely. Really, it's hard to imagine that a game called Hitman wouldn't translate well onto the big screen. But without a compelling antagonist, though Zachary Quinto tries his best, or a logical plot, this boring adaptation was dead on arrival. Number 6. Silent Hill Revelation. Silent Hill 3 was a critically acclaimed survival horror game from the golden age of the PlayStation 2. The game explored the limits of the human psyche and provided some deeply unnerving moments. As part of the larger Silent Hill franchise, it was a serious high point with intense psychological terror and a meaningful, coherent storyline. The movie version of the original Silent Hill was never going to win any awards, but its sequel based on Silent Hill 3 was universally panned by critics. The film somehow managed to take the nuanced plot of the game and turn it into a convoluted string of scenes that made absolutely no sense together. It's also not so much terrifying or scary as it is boring and cheesy. On the plus side, the film does feature Jon Snow, though unfortunately it's pretty obvious that he still knows nothing. Number 5. BloodRayne. Remember the BloodRayne games from the mid-2000s? You know, the one about the red-headed vampire in a skin-tight leather outfit. Yeah, that's the one. The games fully embraced the campy appeal of a half-human, half-vampire killing machine stylishly slicing her way through Nazi Germany. Understandably, infamous director Uwe Boll thought this sounded like the perfect game to adapt into a feature film. Unfortunately, as a director, Mr. Boll has a bit of a reputation for making, how should I put this lightly, terrible excuses for movies that are physically painful to watch? The film version of BloodRayne lacks the tongue-in-cheek fun of the games entirely, replacing it with awful choreography and bad dialogue. But the worst part of all this isn't the only Uwe Boll film on this list, but it is his best. That's right, it only gets worse from here. Number 4. House of the Dead. If you ever visited an arcade in the mid-90s, odds are good that you saw a House of the Dead machine or two. You may not know it, but this game pioneered first-person zombie shooters, and is even credited with popularizing the fast zombies that eventually influenced movies like 28 Days Later and Dawn of the Dead. Its fast-paced action was a mega hit from the beginning. There wasn't much of a storyline in the game, but that didn't stop Uwe Boll himself from taking on a movie adaptation. Spoiler alert, the result is not good. Watching the film, you may not even know that it was related to the game, other than the title, and the truly bizarre choice to use clips from the game as a way to transition from scene to scene. What the movie lacks in acting ability, plot, cinematography, and entertainment value, it makes up for by being mercifully short. Though, with a movie as painful as this one, it could never be short enough. Number 3. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The Mortal Kombat series has always been controversial for the game's over-the-top violence, especially when the game was first released in 1992. But that didn't stop them from growing into a cultural phenomenon. The gameplay was just plain fun, and the characters have become legends in the gaming world. Also known as Green Screen the Movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a direct sequel to the first Mortal Kombat movie, but not a single actor from the first film signed on for this one. That turned out to be a great decision, as the film took one major feature of the games, the fighting, and turned it into mindless scenes that were physically painful. Not for the fighter, for the viewers. The movie was so bad that it effectively ended the Mortal Kombat film franchise, despite attempts to revive it. Since there haven't been any more sequels, some might call it a fatality. Number 2. Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. The original Street Fighter is highly revered in the gaming community, and with good reason. It launched a worldwide fascination with fighting games, and was one of the first games to be played competitively. Like Mortal Kombat, there was little in the way of a story, but the characters were very memorable. If only producers of this 2009 film had recognized what made those characters iconic. Instead, we got an uninspired, nonsensical film that only served to explore Chun-Li's rise to true mediocrity. The fight scenes, arguably the most important part of a film based on a game about fighting, are just plain boring. Unfortunately, in trying to provide a backstory about a popular character, the movie just falls flat. As we work our way to the number 1 spot, make sure to button mash the subscribe button and let us know which movies you think should have made this list in the comments below. Number 1. Alone in the Dark. When the original Alone in the Dark game was released in 1992, it was praised for its innovative gameplay, chilling story spawned by the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and its eerie atmosphere. Despite the limitations of the technology at the time, it still managed to instill a sense of true dread and unease. Plus, as the first 3D survival horror game ever, it inspired generations of horror games to come. The movie version, on the other hand, inspired millions of people to lose countless brain cells and desperately wish they had the last 96 minutes of their life back. From dumb main characters to unintelligent monsters, contradictory world-building to bizarre action scenes set to cheesy rock music, it's no wonder it has an abysmal 1% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It completely lacks any subtle terror of the game. Alone in the dark, more like Alone in the Park, is where I'd rather be than watching this movie. You get the idea. And with that, our list grinds to an end. Have you slogged through any of the movies on our list? Are there terrible video game adaptations which we might have missed? Let us know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.